So I would say first that cash is still king, and that cash still accounts for 34% of all suspicious transaction reported in Europe. But criminals are trying to go below the surface, and that's why they are moving towards the informal money transfer value system, such as a Walla, which is quite disturbing because it's really hard to detect the use of such techniques. Then I would say another trend is the increase in the use of cryptocurrencies. And we have some evidence that it's going to rise again in the future. In the report From Suspicion to Action, Turning Financial Intelligence into Greater Operational Impact, we noticed that only a mere 10% of all the STRs are put to any purpose from a period stretching back to 2006. And in the same time, we're seizing only 1.1% of the estimated profits of organized crime in Europe. So I think first we must acknowledge that we're not that effective. So therefore, what are the current loops in the system? We're using transaction-based monitoring, which creates a lot of false positive, and a lot of the resources from the private sector are dedicated to those false positive. So I would say what is necessary and what are the best practices is an intelligence-led approach. And this is something we have seen that is emerging in several countries, such as the UK GIMLIT, or initiatives in the Netherlands, where there is collaboration from the private sector and the public sector, people working together to be more effective and to share intelligence in order to detect money laundering and terrorism financing. I would say that the over-dependency on national frameworks and national regulatory mechanism is probably one of the issues. This is a cross-border problem. This is a cross-border issue. Financial flows are crossing the borders, and therefore we need to tackle it in a cross-border way. So we need to have a broader approach, a European size / international approach on this phenomenon. So therefore what we would recommend is to have some cooperation increased in that domain to tackle really the problem, the roots and the consequences of an international problem. Beyond raising awareness, Europol is trying to tackle this problem from a European perspective. So we've created in December 2017 the first cross-border public-private partnership, the Europol Financial Intelligence Public-Private Partnership. It gathers 15 major banks and a representative from law enforcement and financial intelligence unit from 8 different countries. We're all working together to try to have a better understanding and a better approach of financial crime. To do so, we're working on the new trends, working on typologies in order to allow the private sector to better detect suspicious transaction. And this has proven to be quite effective with tangible results with STRs submitted by banks. We're also working on the greater threat assessment in order to have a better understanding of what's happening at European and at a world level. Third, we're trying to facilitate operational exchanges between the different actors, namely the national law enforcement authorities and the current and existing public-private partnership. I would say the third thing we're doing is trying to promote greater cooperation on this topic at European level, pushing to get a better regulation in order to allow greater exchanges between the private and the public sector. And of course, we're supporting the work of the coalition because we think that it's really important that we push for this topic to be a major one in terms of policy at world level.